My name's Nataline. I served in the U.S. Air Force, did my training in Texas. Permanent duty station was Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma, and I did one tour overseas to Dhafra Air Base and was there for 6 months. I was a crew chief, aircraft mechanic, flying crew chief on the AWACS out in Oklahoma. Joined the Air Force to get away from home, not because home was a bad area, but I wanted to apply the lessons and skills that my mother and father had taught me and really see what was out there in the world and test myself physically, mentally, emotionally. And I definitely accomplished that by joining the Air Force. I joined in 2011 and I was served just under 3 years. And I was honorably discharged out of the Air Force just under 3 years. When I left the military in 2013, I came back to Lady Lake, Florida. When I came back, I was very angry and didn't think that anyone understood exactly what I was going through. Little did I know there's a bunch of veterans out there that are going through the exact same thing and 10 times worse probably. So I didn't think home provided those answers, so I left. My mom's always been very, very concerned with me, just like my father. My mother's always been a little bit more vocal about it and tend to talk to me about things. I wasn't communicating my issues or problems that was going inside my head with my family at all. So they weren't able to help me, and my mother didn't know how to approach me. And I pretty much just pushed everyone away. The crazy part was I knew my mom was hurting, but I didn't really care at the time because in my mind I thought I need to focus on me, and because no one else is. And no one else was because I wasn't letting anyone. That's what was wrong. And unfortunately, it did put a lot of stress and strain on my mother and father, especially my mother because she's very emotional, and I regret that, but just sometimes that's how life works, and that's how I dealt with it at the time. I was living in Jacksonville with my grandparents, actually my mother's parents, so they were in communication every single day with how I was doing and what's Alex like. And my mom actually told my grandmother that she had met this guy named David Booth back home in Lady Lake, and that he was founder of this organization called Combat Veterans to Careers. And as soon as I heard the name and I thought about someone helping me, I just, if I'm not going to let my family help me, I wouldn't even think about letting an outsider help me at all. And but they insisted that I come down and interview with David. Mom called David and instantly told my story, and he asked her to come in and said, I need to meet you and really understand exactly what's going on. So she did, and I'm sure she poured her heart out to him, and he understood exactly, because this is exactly what he's looking for, to help out veterans across the country. And I was exactly what one of those situations was. So I came down and I interviewed with David. I call it an interview, but I don't think it was an interview. It was more of me saying, hey, what's up, David? And next thing you know, 2.5 hours later, I've told David more about my military background and what happened while I was in than I had ever told anyone. And within a week later, I had moved back to Lady Lake and started the transition. I was still real hesitant. My friends didn't understand what I was going through, and I expected them to understand, which was mistake number one. They didn't. It was my decision to join the military. It was my decision to want to deploy, to experience those things. So it's not their fault that I saw what I saw or did what I did, and left what I had. But I didn't understand that at the time. The Combat Veterans to Career staff helped me with talking to the right people, maybe people that they know on a personal level that work within the VA, and also by really figuring out exactly what do I want to do. I mean, going to school, I'm a young buck. I mean, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but fitness to me is huge, and it's really the camaraderie that I loved. And getting involved in the CrossFit helped me really go and decide that I want to become a trainer. And so CVC helped me with that as well. So David Booth specifically helped me out with getting my own place, getting me started in education, and getting my own job again, getting me into a career field that I was familiar with as an aircraft mechanic down there at Leesburg International. I love doing what I do. Right now, it's perfect. And how could I have done that without him? I don't know. He helped me out, and that's the biggest way he's helped me out. But the biggest thing that means the most to me is the camaraderie. I was able to bond with other veterans right off the bat, like I had never had before. We took a trip to Palm Springs for a veterans golf tournament, and it was just like a big vent session. Everyone was able to talk to everyone and play golf and hang out in the nice weather, and never been to California before, and it was great. The best 3 days of my life. If they can do what they did for me I mean, I can only imagine what other veterans are going through. I was in a dark place, but I don't think I was nowhere near as bad as some of the other guys who are out there in this country. I hear about homeless veterans who have retired after 20 years in the military. I mean, how does that happen? And so this is a huge problem, and I think CVC is one of the best to me, it is the best organization, but that's just my personal opinion. And that the community across the country needs to pick up on it and get involved immediately. They've helped me in every single aspect of life, mentally, physically, emotionally, with the VA, with family, with friends, being there for me, moving, financially, everything. 360-degree approach, that's how David always says, hands-on, be there step by step, and he's fulfilled that promise ever since the day I met him.